there's a lot of ground I want to cover, but I want to start with something that's happening soon. On January 23rd, you're being honoured at the She Rocks Awards as part of NAM's Believe in Music Week. That must have been a nice call or email to receive.
That was great to receive. No, no kidding. It was really fun to get, to be included in the honorees, along with some other pretty cool chicks. and and I think it's a really cool uh, award thing for women. It's gender specific, which I thought I usually don't kind of go for the gender specific kind of stuff,
Mm,
but I think it's important for um, in the culture. It's kind of a great signal to send to the culture where women are being encouraged and rewarded for their work and for their artistic contributions to music and stuff. So yeah, it's good. It's a good thing. Only good.
you've been such a great role model and have inspired many young girls and guys to take up the guitar. Is that something you're conscious of or ever think about?
Yeah, I mean, so many girls have said for a long time have said, you're the reason that I conjured up my courage enough to start to try to play guitar or just try to be in a band. And it's really a cool thing, I think, when women nowadays are so much more confident about all that. And you see so many more girls picking up, learning how to play guitars and buying guitars than there are guys doing it right now.
Yeah.
There's a statistic about it. Um, and you're seeing a lot of really cool women doing really cool music. Like, there's St. Vincent and there's Sleater Kinney and there's Phoebe Bridges and, Taylor Swift just did some incredible music. And in a way, I always thought, what took you so long? Like,
Yeah.
where were you? Because I think what happened in the culture too was when the MTV '80s kind of rolled through the culture, it I think set a lot of women back because it was so much more about imaging
Yeah.
than it was about music, and making those extensively expensive, expansively expensive, more and more expensive videos as the decade you know went down, and including our videos. When you see now, it's like they're really dated, and the hair is just way too big, all of it. so, um, but it's kind of fun to see that stuff now, even because it's a part of history.
Yeah.
The '80s was such a weird part of history,
Yeah.
but some great songs, some great music came out of the '80s too.
Yeah, for sure. 2020 was a terrible year for the arts, and things are yet to get back to any sense of normality. But you certainly weren't idle. You recorded your debut solo album. What was that like, recording an album during a pandemic?
Well, it's the blessing inside a curse, obviously, because it's the silver lining to, the being stuck at home for the first time since I was a kid, basically, because I joined Heart when I was like about 19, 20, and been traveling and touring pretty much ever since. So this was really almost ever the first time ever that I got to stay home for the summer and winter and be at home. And this new place that we live in now in Northern California, it's got a really great music space. It's like an apartment, two-room apartment with a kitchenette above the three-car garage kind of area. So it's spacious enough to call a really good music space. And so coming off the road last time, I had all my stuff from storage that I would normally score with, and my stage stuff brought to storage here, and selected my favorite, classic amplifiers. And I have like a sound deluxe microphone and a couple of Neumann microphones, and a Fender Deluxe, beautiful Fender Deluxe amplifier, and some really sweet guitars, largely vintage and or signatures,
mm,
so it's really a good space. And um, not being a techie at all, I've been spoiled brat all my whole life because somebody else already always would run the console for me, or tune the guitars or restring the guitars for me.
yeah,
But I have a girlfriend here who is way more of a techie than myself. So, and she likes to string guitars and she likes to tune guitars.
great.
So I'm like so lucky. And I have a couple of little interface things. One of them is called a Spire,
Mm,
where you can do it like interface with the really good Neumann microphones, and um, you can do like 6 tracks, and then I send what I record, stuff to a tempo, to a click. Then the way it's been going is I send my tracks in an email to my guy in over in Colorado by Denver. He puts them into his Dropbox, and he helps kind of mix the tracks, that I have so far, sends it back to me where I approve it, and then I send it back to him. He does the notes. He sends everything to Seattle for our drummer, to do the drum part to that
mm,
tempo and load his stuff into Dropbox, and then he sends it to the bass player, his Dropbox, and so I approve each level of the song as it goes through,
mm,
and eventually the keyboard guy adds his part, and
incredible.
then the lead player plays the lead. So, um, but it's really cool. One really good thing about, even though it's a really circuitous way to record an album, it's all the players that I just spent the last Heart tour playing with. So we played a lot live together, and we know each other's way of playing so well that it's like, we can read each other's mind as players. And
Mm,
so to me, the end result really sounds completely natural and authentic, and almost like it's happening in the same room.
yeah,
It's really crazy in a way
yeah.
because it's been a year almost. It's none of it got to happen in the same room.
So you've had a long time to think about your debut album. What elements had to be present on the album for you to be happy with it and proud of it?
Well, it kind of uh, came came to me that now that I was able to stay home, and it kind of encouraged my own kind of inner child to get really creative with like something that fans have been asking for decades. And so I kind of reached back into my earlier sort of university college girl self that was studying creative writing and learning mandolin and just being really creative. um, and I said, well, I want to write a lot of original songs. That was really important to me, to
Mm,
not just do covers, and to write original new material, and including one instrumental, which I've now done, which is called the number 4, like for Edward.
yeah.
So it's kind of a tradition that I would have in an acoustic instrumental, on an earlier Heart album, like Silver Wheels was the intro for Crazy on You.
Mm,
And people love that. They love that. They a lot of Instagram people, a lot of fans on Instagram are playing Silver Wheels, learning Silver Wheels and showing and telling how they play Silver Wheels.
mm,
And interestingly, no two people play it alike.
yeah,
It sounds pretty this much the same, but it's just like cool. It's, I guess it's kind of a novelty thing to have just an acoustic guitar by itself
yeah.
instead of a lot of production, layers of production. So I'm real excited about this album. It's called You and Me, and that's one of the song titles. Um, and there's a bunch of really cool people that I sent files to, um, like Sammy Hagar.
Mm,
He's gonna he does a cameo for me on one of the covers of The Boxer by Simon and Garfunkel. You know that song,
Yeah,
and
sure.
everybody knows that song. And he used to be a boxer, and his voice is so cool, and he's such a good friend, you know. So he was la la la, you know, and and I got Taylor Hawkins from the Foo Fighters and Duff McKagan that are close friends, and
Okay.
they had like a jam that I kind of fashioned into a fun rock song, and then Taylor went back and sung a bunch of harmonies for me, and he's a really great singer too. And I have Liv Warfield
Yeah. Yeah.
from my previous band, the Roadcase Royale,
Mm,
and she's singing on one of the covers, the Cranberry song called Dreams, which is she
okay.
sounds it's like a duet, that we're doing,
Yeah, great song.
yeah. So it's been really fun to just put it together, and like people kind of made requests, like the instrumental acoustic song, or there's a version of a Pearl Jam song that I'd already done called Daughter,
Mm,
for a film that's about to come out, which was stalled out for a while. But the film is called I Am All Girls, and it's a true story about human trafficking, South Africa.
okay.
And so I thought that doing that song like that for the film initially would be so meaningful to speak to, so many young girls that are
Mm,
trafficked, not just in South Africa, it's everywhere.
yeah.
So it came across really strong. And um, there's when you change the gender, sort of like with The Rising, which you probably heard,
Yep. Yep.
the Bruce song. um, it changes the the meaning in a way. It changes it from a darker place to maybe a more aspirational place,
Yeah.
just for having changed the gender of the singer of the song. So I don't know. There's a lot of really wonderful surprises.
Yeah.
Once I start hearing these songs in a row, it's like, hey, this doesn't suck. This is really pretty good. So,
Yeah.
it's
Just
been rewarding.
yeah. Just going back to the instrumental, which is a little a tribute to Eddie Van Halen, I guess. Did you ever meet or play with Eddie?
Oh yeah, we played with the Van Halen a few times in the earlier '80s, mainly at festivals and just gigs that we were opening for them. And um, those guys, those brothers, they're out of control. I mean, they were always out of control. They're the ones who we end up in some bar in a hotel with, and he's like, try this kamikaze, like it was, they were a really bad influence on us. And then they would just get into like a yelling match. They were so out of it. And then like a couple minutes later, they'd be like hugging and, I'm sorry, man. I love you, man. They were just really um, out of the realm of normal. But same on stage. I mean, just absolutely incredible rock band, especially with what Eddie invented. And and so one time Eddie said to me, and I love to tell this story. Um, you know, I love the way you play that acoustic guitar. And I go, well, thanks. Coming from you, that's everything. And why don't you ever play acoustic guitar? And he said, well, I don't really have an acoustic guitar. And I was like, well, you sure do now, because I'm giving you one right now.
Yeah.
And so then next cut to the crack of dawn the next morning, and my phone in my hotel room rings, and it's Eddie. And he goes, gotta listen to this, listen to this, listen, 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 listen. So I was like, okay, I'm not even awake. But he played to me over the phone this really beautiful piece of acoustic music, instrumental, that had elements of classical and and then some really rock stuff in the middle,
mm,
and then another beautiful melodic, um, flourish at the end. And so I got to be the one who gave Eddie his first acoustic. And somewhere there's got to be that song somewhere recorded. It'll probably turn up.
yeah.
But so what I did was for him, I wanted to return the favor of something so unforgettable just over a hotel phone that
Yeah.
he played for me. And so it's like about a minute and a half. And it starts out very sort of classically oriented. It goes into a rock thing. So the shape is very similar to what I vaguely recall
Mm,
what he did to show and tell for me. So, and yeah, I'm real proud of it. And I'm just proud of the whole thing.
yeah. So, which of your guitars did you use on this album?
Oh, for Edward, I used my signature Martin guitar
Okay.
that I developed with Martin guitars quite a few years now, but ago. But it's a three-piece back that's akin to the kind of acoustics that Crosby, Stills and Nash Young would use. That was my model. That was my blueprint acoustic, ideal acoustic guitar.
Yeah. Um, as you said, Martin honored you with a signature guitar. Gibson did the same with the Nighthawk, your stylized
Yeah.
Les
Yeah.
Paul. You've received many awards in your career, but as a guitarist, how much of a buzz is it to have a signature guitar made for you?
Oh, it's a real buzz. You know, I mean, I get to feel kind of burly about it, not girly, but burly
Yeah.
about it because being kind of acknowledged. I started when I was 8, about 8 years old, and I was consumed by learning to play the guitar. It was my calling, and you know, big, experience with music in our family forever as a little kid, singing with the folks and the grandparents and the aunts and uncles and playing ukuleles. And my mom played good piano and taught us some piano. So there was always that, imprint of music already built in. Um, and so when I saw the Beatles on the Ed Sullivan Show, that was the calling. That was like the lightning bolt.
Mm,
That was the zot from heaven. That's must have a guitar, must be like the Beatles. I want to be the Beatles. Not marry the Beatles, but be the Beatles.
yeah.
So have guitars and know how to rock and know how to sing and play at the same time and learn every Beatles song known to man, and then every radio hit known to man, and develop little fledgling groups of girl bands from school friends, that we would learn our favorite radio songs and name ourselves like bad band names, like the Viewpoints, really bad name, and Rapunzel, kind of not too good. Like band names that early band names are always the favorite thing to find out about because they're
Yeah.
never good.
Yeah.
There's a guy I know that his first band, it was actually Cameron, my ex. He had a band in high school or something called Masked Hamster. It's like something that's impossible to say. Uh,
Yeah.
anyway, so then I learned quickly. I got the Mel Bay chord book. I never took lessons, and I just by ear I learned how to play and imitate what I'd heard, and you could slow down the turntable to half speed, right?
Yeah.
Back in the day, and it would be the same key, just an octave lower and much slower for learning tempo. So that was a handy tool. They still make a digital version of that for learning parts, but yeah. So it was my calling, and I would go down to the local Ma and Pa music store, Bandstand East, and pick out a really good guitar because mine I couldn't even hardly play the one I had. It was so cheap, and so I'd sit there and like wait for people to react, like get an audience, sit in the music store and play something really, difficult,
Yeah.
like Angie by Simon and Garfunkel, which is like another acoustic uh, instrumental song, which is a really good one.
Yeah.
And people would be like, "Whoa, this little girl really can't play that big guitar there," and so it's really a show off. And also being from a military Marine Corps family, me and Anne had that confidence, that kind of that dogged determination to go get what it was we wanted. And our mom was really strong too. She was kind of the mom and dad in our family because our dad was off fighting the wars,
Mm.
and so we just wouldn't take no. And we started young, and even kind of before we had like a sexual identity attached to being able to go out and play for people, we were young enough to not really care.
Yeah.
So it never stopped us, luckily.
You were talking about your local music store. How important do you think bricks and mortar music stores are? Because everything's done online these days.
Oh, I know, it's a really good thing. I mean, um, the old style music stores were so personable. Like what I grew to sort of loathe was like the whole Guitar Center of it all.
Yeah.
You'd walk in there and you boodly 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 boodly, and everybody's just as flashing, being as flashy as they could all at the same time. Everybody and his brother, you know. And then you'd walk in, and if they realized it was you or me walking into the store, like the whole store would start doing da 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 da, start playing, you know. The acoustic people would start strumming Crazy on You and or
Yeah.
Barracuda. It was like a weird cultural phenomenon, the whole Guitar Center of it all. But and I miss the little shops and the little record shops and stuff, because it's personal. You could have relationships in there, and can I rent this guitar for $5 a month,
Yeah.
stuff like that. But um yeah, I mean, nowadays you can order stuff online with like places like Sweetwater that are really helpful, because
Mm.
you have a relationship with you can purchase stuff with a person's help
Yeah.
and have a discussion with them over online,
Yeah. So,
explain what it is you're looking
yeah.
for.
Your Lake Placid Blue Tally, was that a music store purchase?
That was um a purchase when we were in, God, early 80s, maybe heart late 70s even. And I had a guitar tech who was combing through classic guitars that were for sale for a good deal. And so he was hooked up with some people that would bring these guitars to the show, like the classic SG that I had, and
Mm.
the Blue Telly, and a couple of things like that. And I got a flying V one time laid on me by a guy that was trying to date me, but and I said, "Oh, okay, I'll take it." But I can't really take this because it's an original flying V.
Right.
And he said, just consider it 100-year loan. It's like, okay, I'll take it. But I had some classic Epiphones and an Gibson SG 335, and just some really beautiful vintage guitars. And there's nothing like good vintage equipment and guitars. There's nothing as good as that.
Yeah. Is there a heart song that you were super proud of because of the guitar part that you laid down?
Um, oh yeah, I think Straight On was pretty good for that. Um, and it turned into way more of a funky song as it developed over the years, on stages. Um, and that's the perfect Blue Telly song. There's something about an old Telecaster it kind of bridges the gap for me between electric and acoustic in many ways, because I pound on the acoustic. I use it like an um, more like a rhythm instrument, like
Mm.
percussion. And the telly can sort of take that style of playing too, because it's a battle axe, you know. So it's, yeah, I think of one of the more fun songs to deliver on the blue telly is the song Straight On.
Yeah. So when this COVID thing is all over, will we see a Nancy Wilson solo band tour or another Heart tour?
Well, there's an offer on the table for Heart in the fall, which, you know, we hope we can do. I mean, those are big shows, and you know, any one of us would never equal the sum of the both of us, of me and Anne being on a bigger stage and calling that Heart. But I think when um, the album comes out, there's a movement afoot for me to get up to Seattle, and there's a performance arts center there called Ben Arroyo Hall, which we've played there before. It's gorgeous. There's a big pipe organ. It's one of those performance places, all the wooden, you know, walls and seats, um, and maybe, and the Seattle Symphony wants to do a show with me,
Wow. Yeah.
including some of the new songs. And so I'm like, well, whether it's a live stream or a live audience, let's do it, because let's do it. You know, they want to do it in April, which could possibly mean that we could do with a real audience there, or not. We don't know that, but even a live stream show would be wonderful to do there. You know, we still could be distanced on the big stage. Um, I could come out acoustically by myself, and then bring the band around, and then bring the symphony around as the three kind of tiers of the show would open out. And if I could get my guests like Sammy Hagar, for instance, to come to take his private jet, you know, to Seattle, um, and you know, some of my other guys that guests on the album, but I could see Sammy Hagar appearing like way up in the little doorway is, that where the a pipe organist comes up
Yeah.
through that door to play the pipe organ, and just sing his part on Boxer, you know, just like a surprise appearance. But I don't know. I mean, it's just fun to think about, and it would sound beautiful. And there's one guy that provided me some really sweet string parts on this one song so far on the album, who is the head of the Seattle Symphony. So he put all the parts down on his own. He's
Okay.
a one man orchestra.
Yeah.
He's amazing.
Yeah. I
And so he's like the leader.
I think Heart got to Australia at least once, didn't you?
We did go there one time. It was what, 6 maybe years ago. Yeah, we went to all the major cities for about a month, and we were opening for. I think we were opening for Def Leppard,
Oh, okay.
and I think we also opened for Foreigner. A couple
Right.
different. We opened for a few
Yeah.
big rock bands, like platinum rock bands, you know.
Yeah.
But we never really got over there enough in the past,
Yeah.
to set ourselves up to be well known enough there to headline, you know. But probably, possibly next time we could headline there, because we were there,
Yeah.
and people dug us.
Yeah. So what are you most proud of in your career?
um, I think that's a toughie. That's a toughie. I'm proud of. I think I'm most proud of my creativity, like my ability to create something that feels really authentic, and to be able to sing and play at the same time, you know. But just to be able to be a songwriter, I guess I'm really proud of um, the fact that I've got a lot of respect for what I've done for so long.
Yeah.
I guess that's I guess that's the main thing.
Yeah. Well, Nancy, it's been an absolute pleasure to chat to you, and
Yeah.
hopefully we will see you down here one day.
Well, let's hope so. I mean, it's looking safer and safer to go over there if anybody can ever fly anywhere.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's really yeah. Well, say hi to Australia for me.
for sure.
Okay,
All right.
well, good chatting with you.
Thank you,
Okay,
Nancy.
pleasure.
Bye bye.
Okay, take care.